senior senator from Arizona urged this body to trust the Republicans. Let me be clear, I don't trust the Republicans, and I don't trust the Democrats. And I think a whole lot of Americans, likewise, don't trust the Republicans and the Democrats because it is leadership in both parties that has gotten us in this mess. You know, my wife and I have two little girls at home. They're 5 and 2. When Caroline was born, our national debt was $10 trillion. Today, it's nearly $17 trillion. In her short 5 years of life, the national debt has grown by over 60%. Madam President, what we are doing to our kids and grandkids, I think, is immoral. Now, I commend the Democrats in this body for their candor. The Democrats and President Obama have been very explicit that it is their intention to raise the debt ceiling and to do so with no conditions whatsoever, just to keep borrowing and borrowing and borrowing money without any structural reforms to fix the problems. That is an intellectually consistent position. I think it is a dangerous position, but it is at least candid. And that is the reason why every day for 60 days the Democrats have opposed taking the debt ceiling off the table in this discussion. But unfortunately, one of the reasons we got into this mess is because a lot of Republicans were complicit in this spending spree. And that's why so many Americans are disgusted with both sides of this House. Because we need leaders on both sides to do, as my friend from Virginia said, to roll up our sleeves, to compromise, to work together and fix the problem, fix the enormous fiscal and economic problems, stop bankrupting our country. What this issue is all about is very simple. Will we allow the debt ceiling to be raised in an unlimited amount with just a 50-vote threshold? And if the answer to that is yes, we have in effect just voted to raise the debt ceiling because the Democrats hold a majority of this body, 55 seats, and the Democrats are explicit, they want to raise the debt ceiling. If we go to conference without the debt ceiling being taken off the plate, it is 100% certainty the debt ceiling will be raised, I believe. It's been done 3 times in recent history. And every Republican who stands against holding the line here is really saying, let's give the Democrats a blank check to borrow any money they want with no reforms, no leadership to fix the problem. I don't think that's consistent with any of our responsibilities. A final point. Much has been said about the budget was debated, the budget was considered. That is surely true. But the budget contains nothing about the debt ceiling. The budget did not consider the debt ceiling. When all of us were here all night debating the budget, we didn't debate the debt ceiling. The question here is whether the majority of this Senate will be allowed to bootstrap the debt ceiling, a totally different issue, onto the budget. And the reason for doing it is to use a political trick. It would allow the majority to pass a debt ceiling increase on just 50 votes, and I think it would be profoundly irresponsible for this body to raise the debt ceiling without fixing the problem, without getting the economy going, without getting jobs back, without stopping the path we're on of bankrupting this country. That's what this fight is about. I yield the floor.
Senator from Utah.
Madam President, I'd like to follow up on some of the comments made by my friend and my colleague, the junior senator from Virginia. I agree wholeheartedly. We need to have this debate. We need a budget. The American people want it. They deserve it. They've been without it for 4 years. It's because we want this debate, and it's because we want this issue debated in public that we have this concern. In other words, as the senator from Texas pointed out just a moment ago, there were a lot of issues that were discussed and debated and voted on when we were addressing the budget resolution a couple of months ago. We were here until 5 in the morning, making sure that we could get through all the amendments. At no point during that very lengthy discussion in connection with the budget resolution did we discuss or address or vote on or in any way make a decision regarding the debt ceiling. That is a separate debate, one that did not come up in connection with the budget resolution. It's a debate that needs to happen, just as the discussion of the budget resolution needs to move forward, we do need to have a public debate and ultimately a vote with regard to the debt ceiling. The American people expect us to have this debate. They expect us to have it under the light of day and not under cover of darkness, behind closed doors, resulting in one of those infamous backroom deals that has given Washington its often much-deserved bad name. So the debt ceiling was not in the bill. It was not in the budget resolution. We haven't debated it, and all we're asking for is that the other side agree that they will not use budget reconciliation as a mechanism for working a backroom deal to raise the debt limit. The American people expect us to debate this, not in secret, but in public. That's what we're trying to do, Madam President. I yield the floor.
Madam President.
Senator from Florida.
And since I raised the objection today, I wanted to at least close my comments by accurately describing to the people watching, whether at home or in the gallery or elsewhere, what's happening here, because maybe some folks are wondering what this is all about. And it's pretty straightforward. In fact, for over 1,000 days, the Senate did not pass a budget under the leadership of the current majority. And we did complain about that because that was problematic. And they ultimately this year finally passed a budget, one which quite frankly doesn't deal with our debt and doesn't help grow our economy, but they passed a budget. And so the House has passed its budget, the Senate has passed its budget, and the way it works is that both of these sides now are supposed to sit down and negotiate. So what's happening here is that a motion is being made to start those negotiations, which nobody here is objecting to these negotiations. That can begin today. This process that they want can happen right this very moment. The only thing we're asking is that it be clear that as part of that negotiation, an increase of the debt limit not be part of it. And here's why it's so important that not be part of it. Because we haven't discussed it. As the senator from Texas pointed out, when we debated the budget, we didn't debate the debt limit. Let me tell you what the debt limit is. It's the credit line of the United States. It's how much money the government is allowed to borrow. This is not a trivial matter. I heard people stand here today, my fellow senators, and say, well, you'd raise any objection to any issue you want, we can stop the whole process. This is not a trivial objection. I'm not asking that the key lime pie be made the official pie of the United States. I'm not asking for some ridiculous thing. This is the debt limit, something that's been called the single greatest national security problem facing the United States of America by a national security official. And all we are saying is you can't come back from that conference report with an increase in the debt limit, because if that happens, it'll be a 51-vote majority here to do it as a matter of routine. Quite frankly, that's the problem, is that the debt limit increases has become a matter of routine. And that's how you get from $10 trillion to $16.5 trillion in such a short period of time. Now, ultimately, you're right, we shouldn't treat the debt limit casually. That means we shouldn't just casually and cavalierly say, we'll never raise it no matter what you do. But we also shouldn't casually just raise it as a matter of routine. And that's the fundamental problem. And the impact that this is having on our economy is serious. Now, I deeply respect this institution. By the way, one of the reasons why I ran for the Senate, because I thought I could make a difference here. Because in this Senate, even a minority within the minority can make a difference. And let me tell you, one day I won't serve here anymore. And someday in the future, my children, who today are very young, will have to deal with the consequences of the decisions that we make or fail to make in my time here in the Senate. And if in fact what they inherit is an economy crippled by the horrifying decisions that have been made here now and in the past, I'm going to have to answer for that. I'm going to have to explain to them, what did you do or what did you not do when you were in the Senate? How could you have allowed this debt to move forward? What did you do to do something about this debt issue? And my answer to them cannot be, well, I followed the regular order. I played along to get along. I went ahead and acquiesced to what my colleagues wanted. That can't be my answer. That won't be my answer. And so the bottom line here is we can move to conference right now. We can begin negotiating with the House this very day. All we are asking for is that as part of that negotiation, they cannot come back here with a debt limit as part of it. The debt limit is an important issue. It should be discussed on its own as it relates to the entire economy, not simply the one-year budget of the United States of America. And that's the basis of our objection. And if the majority would reconsider their position and come to the floor and offer the same motion, but with language that clearly says that it cannot include reconciliation instructions to raise the debt limit, we will be in conference with the House this very day. But if they fail to do that, we can't move forward. Because what we cannot do is continue to routinely raise the debt limit of this country without any serious conversation about how we're going to begin to put our fiscal house in order. Because the impact it's having on our economy is disastrous. Our economy is not growing. There are people in America right now who are unemployed or underemployed because the debt is scaring people away from investing in our economy and in our future. And if we do nothing about that, then, my colleagues, we will be the first generation of Americans to leave the next generation worse off. That has never happened in our history. And I hope that we can come together here to prevent that from happening. Because I think that if we do some simple but important things for our country, including bringing our debt under control, I believe if we do that, this new century, this 21st century, can also be an American century. So my hope is that at some point today or tomorrow or in the next few days, we can come to this floor and make a motion to go to conference with a very simple and straightforward language that says that the conference report cannot include reconciliation instructions to raise the debt limit. I yield the floor.